Hi, good morning. This is Ana Dominguez, your language coach. And today I'm going to read with you this document that I created many years ago, but I have been updating it. And it's called WordFit, Excel at the Next Level. And it's actually the scheme, we could say, where I place the different, we could say, structures and different um, areas of the language where you should be really paying attention, because it's here in these areas is where you could have certain problems with the language. So for example, you will see that I have highlighted structures like that, the typical tense verbs, but I also have placed a specific area of prefixes and suffixes, and also, for example, the adjectives and how they are placed before or during the sentence, okay, before the noun or during the sentence, different orders of the adjectives, these kind of things, okay? So this is a document for you to help you to identify your common mistakes and place them in some place, because if we have these in our head, if we have this in mind, it will be easier to identify the mistake and see your evolution. So how to excel at the next level, and I say here very clearly, by keeping a record of the new vocabulary and new expressions that you find in my lessons and during your practice, because that's why I call it WordFit. It's actually about exercising it. It's about talking, it's about writing, it's about listening, it's about speaking a lot, or at least as much as possible during the week. So then you are like going to a gym, you go and practice, okay? So including phonetics and those words you find in the book of the term. Important, the book of the term, if you are with me in the club or if you are my coachee, you know that I always give you the chance to select one specific book that you are interested in reading, or just follow the PDFs that I usually share during the term, okay? And that's essential that you keep a record of vocabulary and the problems that you have with the phonetics. And I have to say here that phonetics is a new world that nobody has explained very well to us, at least at the school, at university. If you are a philologist like me, you might have found someone that has explained to you the phonetic alphabets, and you are already familiarized with the symbols and everything. And if you are not, I help you to identify those symbols, because that will give you also a very good tool to correct your phonetic, not only by listening in word reference the sound, but also by reading the transcription, the phonetic transcription. And I have to say this as well, the people that are like me, teachers that are studying to become an official English teacher at Escuela Oficial de Idiomas, and you are studying the civil exam, la posición, you know that you have to also know how to transcribe or do transcriptions, phonetic transcriptions of certain text. So you be aware of this if you are studying for the civil exam as well. So I'm going to read this. Here I leave you the diagram to organize your linguistic discoveries. Vocabulary and structures that call your attention in our class. That's for sure something that you have to have in mind. If you are with me during 1 hour or 1 hour and a half, it depends on your fee, the fee that you have selected. You will have to absolutely write down in a notebook new vocabulary and structures. But your common mistakes at speaking and listening, see in detail the phonetics, I have already said and called attention on phonetics before, but have in mind that listening and speaking go together, okay? I always like explaining these things, because if you listen, then you end up talking a little bit as the person that you are listening to. So because we are monkeys, we also learn by osmosis. So the process is very, we could say, osmotic process. You learn because it's your nature to learn. And it's also your nature to be creative. So then you have to put your voice out there in some moment, because we need to communicate. So speaking and listening go together. And then the common mistakes at reading and writing. So if you read a lot, um, um, you will end up writing better, and also you will end up writing with certain probably characteristics of the books that you are reading in English. So that's why I really think we are very, in this way, very, we mimic a lot, we copy a lot, and then we are creative, we evolve our voices, adjusting or aligning your energies, your interest, and then you become a creative voice, we could say. Vocabulary found in the book of the term essential, I already told you about that. So let's continue with this PDF. In the next page, what I show you is organizing and studying the words in detail with the common mistake list. Verbs, and this is a very important thing that you need to really have like different boxes, or you could keep inside these different, it's like having a time machine. Basically, verbs is time machine, has been already created. This is the time machine. When you are speaking and using the verbs, you move through time. So regular ed endings, have in mind that. Irregular 8 patterns, I have a video about that, so I will play somewhere over here the link to that. Non-stative verbs, what they call also non-dynamic verbs, are those that can't go with ing. We need to have that in mind. Like, for example, you don't say I'm loving, you say I love or I don't love, I like or I don't like, but you don't say I'm liking, okay? And certain advertisements have, you know, broken that rule. And for example, in McDonald's, there was advertisement a few years ago that was saying I'm loving it, but that was you know, to call attention to native speakers and non-native speakers. The problem with non-native speakers is that we think that then loving is said right, but actually it's not. In terms of grammar, love is one of these verbs of like and dislikes that should not go with ing because it's a non-static verb. Then we have phrasal verbs, verb plus prepositions, and it will be important that you collect them, organize them by different topics, different, we could say, fields, and also my recommendation is that you learn them by using synonyms in English, no by giving the direct meaning in Spanish. Because if you do this, if you keep giving the definition in English or giving a synonym in English, you learn and you build up new vocabulary. Structures, identifying tense verbs, that's essential. So when you are reading, you really need to say, okay, I'm now reading present simple, I'm now reading present continuous. Then you know how to identify present perfect, past simple, past continuous, past perfect, future with to be going, future with to be going to, or future with will, future with present simple, future with continuous, future with perfect. And then remember that the future also is not only used for future events. Then we need to talk about the speech, the speech situation, okay? So that's when I'm explaining grammar, when I have to give you some explanations about the grammar and the use of the tense verbs, I usually explain things with the speech situations, which is, the speech situation is really, I think, much easier. And also I always give you the adverb. So adverb means, you will see it later, but adverbs mean close to the verb, accompanied to the verb. So what actually adverbs are saying is, please use present simple, or you must use here present perfect, or you must use here past simple. So the adverbs are already a key element that will give you the notice of, you need to, you know, really use here certain specific tense verb. Then we have simple modals, you know, that are my, may, might, would, should, could, can, must, have to, need to. And remember, with would, should, could, be careful with that, because some people say the L, some people pronounce also O in a very strange way, or even would. It's like when you say voulez-vous, okay? So it's a very soft kind of V, like when you say violet, okay? So would, should, could. Then modal perfect may have been, might have been, should have written. So if you know how to identify and when to use modal perfect, that would be fantastic. Then passive voice, careful with this. Passive voice you really need to use them when you're writing essays and sound more academic. And then you have nominalization, then you have also conditionals, the first, the second, the third, then direct speech versus reported speech, and inversions. Obviously, I'm not going to enter to identify these structures, these tense verbs right now. I'm just giving you the scheme so then you can organize later on the discoveries that you are doing and what exactly you are having troubles with. Then we move on. We have finished with the verbs. I have to say about the inversions that I have included them here because they change, the parameter of the subject and the verb, and usually the auxiliary or the verb goes before the subject, and that's how we identify inversions. And inversions are used to highlight what you are going to say. I usually explain inversions with Professions for Women by Virginia Woolf and some others that appears in Cupid and CK. So I will also leave some links here for you to discover those inversions. So here in the next page, I explain nouns, countable nouns, then I give you the different boxes where you could place the different nouns, countable nouns, uncountable nouns, concrete nouns, common nouns, and proper nouns, abstract nouns, compound nouns, possessive nouns, regular plural nouns, irregular plural nouns. And then adjectives. Obviously, I haven't given you here any example, but the idea is that you also discover them, okay? So when you are reading or when you are talking to me. Adjectives, order in a sentence. Here is what I usually give you the whole thing. Obviously, you are not going to say like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, like 10 or 11 adjectives before a noun. Obviously, you are not going to do that, but usually you use 2, 3, or just 1. If you use obviously 1, you don't need to place, you don't need to think about the order. But if you give more than 1, you really need to think about what is the characteristic of this adjective and which one goes first. For example, you use de or a, and then you say opinion, size, shape, condition, age, color, pattern, origin, material, and purpose. And then you have the noun. And I always give you the example, like for example, I don't know, let's say about the size. No, you say a big, then you say shape, I don't know, circular, I don't know, a big circular, or a big circular paper. Okay, so you could say, or you could also say, I don't know, you say an old, you see, an old origin, an old Indian book, for example, you see. So you could always think about this in order to place in your writing and in your speaking the order of the adjectives in the right position. The natural, we could say, more English sound order. Types of adjectives, and now I give you the types. And I gave you also, I'm giving you here also examples. For example, absolute adjectives, and then you have supreme, infinite. Comparative adjectives, happier than. Possessive adjectives, my, your, his, her, its, our, your, their. Superlative adjectives, the happiest, remember, happiest. Indefinite adjectives, some, any, each. Attribute, predicative, and post-positive adjectives. Attribute, example given, the small car is mine. And then you have, for example, predicative, you would say, the attribute, predicative, and I'm telling them here underneath. So attribute would be the small car is mine, predicative would be my car is small, post-positive examples could be commonly found together with superlative, attributive adjectives. For example, they say, the shortest route possible, the shortest route possible. And proper adjectives would be, for example, American cap or Spanish flag. Descriptive adjectives: adorable, funny, colorful, enthusiastic, negative, and colorful. I'm using the UK spelling, okay? Because you know that in America, they don't use the U, they directly put COLORFUL. So they omit the U in American spelling, but in British spelling, they use all these vowels. Quantitative adjectives, examples, you could say whole, hundreds, full, a little bit. Indefinite numeral. Numeral adjective. Definite numeral adjectives, we have seventh, 5. Indefinite numeral adjectives, we have some, several, many, a few, much, all. So kind of quantitative, the same. Distributed numeral adjectives, each, another. Demonstrative adjective, these, that, those, these, that, those. Distributive adjectives, each, every, either, and neither. Interrogative adjective, whose, what, which, whom. Adverbs, adverb of time, today, now, yesterday. Adverbs of place, here, alone, there. Adverbs of manner, cheerfully, sadly. Adverbs of degree, absolutely, verily, badly. Adverbs of frequency, always, sometimes. Linking adverbs, therefore, unlike, consequently, the ones that you use, to give reasons in your, for example, essay. Irregular adverbs, wrong, straight, late, hard, fast. Adverbs of sequence, of sentence, clearly, certainly, curiously, undoubtedly. They introduce a new sentence, so you could always, clearly, this has been the most beautiful day of the year, I don't know, or certainly, and then you express something, so that's how the adverbs I have, organize them. And then last but not least, we have the word formation, prefixes and suffixes. Very important that you have in mind how to form nouns, how to form adjectives, how to form adverbs, how to form verbs. And remember, nouns and verbs sometimes are coming from the same root. Then we evolve to adjectives, and then from the adjectives we evolve to adverbs. Okay, so that's how it works usually. And I give you here the prefixes and suffixes. I'm not going to enter here because otherwise this video will be very long, but we will obviously see these kind of things in the third part of the use of English. I think is the one for first certificate and advanced students, and also for people that are interested in just knowing how to evolve this is called word formation because of that, how to you evolve a word, and then suddenly you can work with the opposite meaning just by adding, for example, a prefix. Okay, and then new expressions and idioms, any kind of we could say fixed sentence or any idiom that you know and that you discover with me, you should be placing it in somewhere, in some notebook, in some document. Collocations and type, this is the last time, the last part, I mean. Adjectives plus adverbs, seriously damaged. I'm giving you collocations. Collocations can also appear in the fourth part of the use of English official exam, so be careful with that. Adjectives plus noun, an interesting person. Noun plus verb, the time comes. Verb plus noun, make appointments, appointments. Verb plus expression with preposition, result in the dismissal. Verb plus adverb, example given, apologize publicly. And that's it. This is the end of this PDF. I just wanted to really check it with me to make it easier to understand why I have been doing this and why do you have it inside of our drive. Talk to you soon. If you like my videos, if you think this is interesting, please subscribe, leave a comment below. And if you want, you can tell me something about what exactly you are having problems with. What are your common mistakes? Okay, talk to you soon. Bye.